Welcome back, Arty Crafters and all new viewers. So for this stone I'd already started with a silver centre dot and I'd gone round it with tiny little white dots with slightly larger white dots in between. And then here I'm using my green stylus, which is a 3mm dot. And I've chosen the colours for this particular stone using these vibrant, sort of neon, slightly iridescent paints that I have. They're all Peebo paints, which I find a great consistency to be able to dot with. I just need to make them slightly more fluid with a bit of acrylic pouring medium, and then I find them the perfect consistency that I need to use. So those last dots were placed with a 3mm acrylic rod, which is the same size as the green stylus I was using. They're both 3mm. However, I do find that the acrylic rod gives a slightly larger dot, so bear that in mind if you are using similar tools. So there I placed slightly smaller blue dots underneath those 3mm ones using the yellow stylus, which is a 1.5mm. And now I'm going in with this lovely bright pink using the 5mm acrylic rod and just using the stylus there to fill out the dot before I swipe it down into the middle of the two blue dots below. Just take your time doing this part of the design. You just need to make sure you've got enough paint to be able to swipe down in a smooth motion. So you'll see I'm putting the dot on, then I'm filling the dot up a little bit more with the acrylic rod. Then using the stylus, I grab a bit more paint still and smooth out the dot, and then just drag the paint down to the level which is between the two blue dots, but just above the yellow dots on that inner circle. So whilst I'm finishing off this row of pink dots, I would just like to remind those of you who aren't subscribed to do subscribe to my channel using the subscribe button below and hit like on this video. And if you are subscribed, do remember to turn on the alerts and notifications so that you are reminded when I do upload any new content. And I've definitely fallen in love with this colour combo. I like the brightness and the vibrancy of the rock. So I think I will do another design using these. The consistency of the paint leads well to swiping. So I'm feeling I might do a design which is more swipe based than dotting based. But I will get the stone and I will see what design comes to me as we do it. So again, I'm using the 5mm rod with this beautiful iridescent green. It's such a beautiful colour. So similar to what I did with the pink on the previous row, I've placed the dots. I'm going to fill in the dots a little bit with a bit extra paint with using the stylus, smooth out the dots and then drag the paint through so it's just above the blue of the row below the pink. So swiping it on down and dragging the paint in. Just take your time, just get to the level you need and make sure you've got enough paint on the dot to be able to swipe it through enough. So now I'm taking the pink stylus here, and this is my 0.8 dotting tool, and I'm trying to create a petal effect around those last swiped green dots. So my first dot is in the centre top of the previous green dot, and then I am walking the dots around to the base of the circle where the swipe of the green starts. Some people walk the dots down one side and immediately go to walk the dots down the other side because I'm right-handed. I guess it feels more comfortable to me to do all the right ones first, like I'm doing in this video. Sometimes I do it the other way around, but this is the way I find I usually approach these walking the dots. So I'll do all the right side first, and then I will start and place the centre dot again, so go over the top, and then walk the dots down as I did on the right-hand side, but just on the left-hand side, so mirror it round the other side of the green dot. So now I've taken my white dotting stylus, which is a 2mm dotting tool, and I'm just making this petal design slightly larger. So above the top dot of the orange on the previous row, I am placing this lovely aqua blue dot. And then using the same stylus tool, so sticking with the 2mm tool, I place another dot in the centre of the 2 green dots and then walk the dots back up to that previous 2mm blue dot. So working in a kind of V shape around the petals of the previous row. And then I just continue working that round the whole of the stone. And this is a point when it's useful to leave those centre dots that you've did, the smaller ones around the silver centre dot, to have dried before you get to this stage, because you're handling the stone a bit more. As you can see, my fingers across the middle of the stone, and so if they were slightly damp, you'd be smudging it the whole time. And just for a rough guide, those centre dots being only 3mm or so in size, they would only take half an hour to dry in most room temperatures. Because they're not huge dots, they don't have a lot of paint on them, but I would leave them for an hour or so maybe, just to make sure that the paint is hard enough to handle. So again, sticking with the 5mm acrylic tool, I am placing these pink dots around the sides. And then I'm filling in the dots slightly with a bit more paint, and using my scribe, I'm dragging the paint up towards the petals that we've just created. So swiping it up again, like we did on the previous style with the 5mm pink dots. And similar notes before, as we're handling this stone quite a bit, it is useful to let the previous dots and rows dry before you can do this. And when I got to this point of design, I felt like I wanted to repeat the petal pattern from the previous dots and swipes row that we had. So using the green, so I'm going in the same order of colours from the centre out, so keep repeating the same use of colours. So now I grab the green with my 0.8 stylus, it's just this pink dotting tool here. And I'm creating these petals by placing a centre dot and then walking the dots around that last pink dot. And as I did previously, I'm doing all the right hand side, and once I've completed that, I will go over the centre dot of the petals and then mirror it down and go down the left hand side of the pink dot. And here I am doing just that technique. So I get a bit extra paint on my stylus, place on the centre dot again, and then walk the petals down the other side. And similar to the last time, just to finish off the petal effect, I'm doing another row of the petals, but these ones will be walked all the way around rather than the V shape that we did with the blue on the previous petals. So using my white stylus, which is the 2mm dotting tool, I place a centre dot above the previous centre dot from the green petal. And then using my yellow orange stylus and using the 1mm ball on the end of that stylus tool, I walk the petals down from the edge of the centre dot and round to the base of the pink dot. And I felt that that was all of the design that was needed. I liked the bit of the blank space so you could see the black shining through, which I felt set off these neon iridescent colours lovely. And I didn't feel the need to add any more. So once your stone is fully dry, you can use a piece of kitchen roll or cotton wool, dip it in water and just wipe off all of those chalk guidelines that we put on the stone to start with. And I like to finish off my stones when they're fully dry with a coat of clear satin lacquer. This is Hemway, so this is a brand I get from Amazon on the UK, or I can buy direct from the Hemway website. And there we have this glorious neon iridescent stone with these bright, vibrant colours. Thank you for watching.